Yeah. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live webinar. Sorry we're getting started a couple minutes late. Wanted to build the suspense for you. So I have with me Naeem Dalal, Amal Marath, and Rodolph Grout. And so before we get into it, I just want to give you a couple small administrative things. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so from the YouTube video, you'll see in the description a link to our swim post all about the webinar. Here you can see the speakers, and if you click on their images, you'll be able to view their profiles and some of their background in swim. You can also sign up for our newsletter here. And most importantly for today, we want to give you the functionality to ask your questions. So come to this post, type your question here, and hit enter, or click the go arrow. Now we're gonna answer live throughout the webinar. So be sure to add your questions, and at the end we'll have a Q&A time slot, about 15 minutes specifically for this. So take a minute, familiarize yourself, and feel free to poke around the community while you're there. All right. Without further ado, I'm going to pass the ball to Naeem to get into the webinar.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Yeah.
There you go.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to this introduction of the logical product architect role. It's a new role that has been introduced in 21X FD06 release of ENOVIA. So this is part of our series of ENOVIA to the max. We are going to go through deep dive and introduction of this new role. Together with me, I have Amol Marathi, and Amol is going to go into the features and the technical characteristics of this new role. So let's start by going through this agenda. So first, we're going to give you a quick overview to understand what is this role, where does it integrate within our ENOVIA portfolio, and what is the target and the values of this role. After that, Amol will take us into a deep dive, going through some best practices and showing us the widget and how things are working together. What are the terms that we are using in this widget, and how this role can help the user to build the product architecture. Further on, Amol will continue and will show us some new enhancements which have been introduced in this release. And at the end, we are going to have questions and answers. So let's start first by introducing this role. So as you know, this is the 3D Experience platform has basically different layers of roles, if you will. So we start with the collaborative business innovator role, where we can digitally connect everyone in the organization within the value stream. So here we have apps that everyone in the organization can work with and can benefit from. On top of that, we have then another layer of collaboration. That's what we call collaborative industry innovator role. This is a set of apps that will allow you to collaborate across different disciplines in the organization during the development process and the innovation of the products. So here you have more apps which will allow you to work on your products, to review them, to organize them in different bookmarks, and to approve them, and so on. And on top of that, we have additional roles. These are the very specialized roles, either in the area of project management or design or manufacturing and so on. So this is the multidiscipline layer of the roles, which gives you the functional capability that will allow you to build your design or your projects and other capabilities at this level. And this is where the logical product architect role is integrated. So it's on top of the collaborative, as a prerequisite, it is the collaborative industry innovator, and this role comes within the list of these multi-discipline roles. So what do we have within this role? we have a single app that is called Logical Product Definition. So let's review now the introduction of this role. So this role that is called Logical Product Architect, or SAX, it's a role that allows you to establish the architecture of the product, or the logical architecture of the product, in order to drive the development during the life cycle of the product itself. So it's something that will help us to build the architecture, to collect the specifications, and to ensure that this architecture that will define the product is aligned with the specifications. So eventually what we will be building at the end will be aligned exactly with these specifications and everything that is required to build this product. So in some organizations that have these kind of architects, they sometimes call it configuration managers or product planners, and they're doing exactly the same, but they have kind of different naming, business role naming, such as planning the product, or those managers who are working on the configuration of their products. So why this role is important? What are the benefits for me as an end user? First of all, this will allow you to improve the traceability that you have from the customer needs into the product definition. The target of this role is not just to build the architecture, but to be able to trace those needs that come from the customer through specifications until the product is properly defined. So this is something we can enhance by using the logical product architect role. We can also increase the productivity because this role will allow you to integrate multiple design disciplines into a single product architecture where everything is aligned and integrated in this structure. Also, it helps you to reduce the errors because with this role, you can reveal all the issues that you have within the product definition, thanks to the tools that we have applied, and that will ensure that there are no errors of any definition of the product architecture, and you can increase also the accuracy and you can reveal the non-conformances with those specifications that are attached to the product. And since this is mobile and cloud, you can use the product through the development life cycle from anywhere at any time on any mobile applications. So now I let Amol review the main pieces of this product, the way we understand this product through these processes, which will allow you to create, capture, configure, validate, and finally compute in order to ensure the values that I have explained earlier are aligned with the product architecture before we continue with the product development further on. So Amol?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I hope I'm audible, Naeem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to start with the logical product architecture, there are different phases in the architecture design procedure. So we start with the creation phase where we are actually defining the entire architecture of the logical part of the same physical definition. So here, irrespective of whether the logical reference is coming from any domain, let it be mechanical, electrical, or piping system, everything you can define in the same application, and all the logical entire structure will be created during during the first phase of the architecture definition. During the capture phase, what we do is we collect number of different requirements. It could be a requirement document, a specification, or even proposed solutions for that matter. Everything is captured, and accordingly we are supposed to design the entire architecture. The next phase comes, which is the configuration part, where we can utilize all the functionalities that we have already with the CFG role, and we can apply different configuration contexts We can apply evolutions, effectivities to the entire structure. Then comes the validation phase, where we are actually validating the completeness for the specifications. So whatever specifications we had mentioned, we'd go through it. It could be even the design space that we have allocated to the logical references. And if that is the definition is complete, then the logical reference would be promoted. Maybe it would be released. And at the final stage, we could compute the entire the convergence status of the logical definition. Let's dive deeper through each of these phases. The first one, as I mentioned, on the right hand side, if you can see on the screen, there is the logical reference, under which there are different logical reference types. So that the logical reference could come from any discipline. It could be a software item, it could be hardware item, it could be ECU or the actuator. Any discipline the logical reference comes from, that will build the entire, you could say, the hybrid definition of the logical architecture. And that entire definition could be created inside this app, which is the logical product definition. Moreover, there is an interesting feature here, which is the architecture number. So this is nothing but the unique identifier for each of the logical references, and we could assign this identifier to the logical part. This is similar to the enterprise item number, which is on the physical side. So this architecture number is on the logical side. It is a unique identifier, so it will you can refer all the entire asset definition for your logical structure. Moreover, you could also run different lifecycle operations, like you can duplicate, you can promote the logical references, or you could also revise them if there is a new change. And another interesting or powerful feature is you could leverage the existing work under solution inside this app. So if there is a change in the logical architecture or any logical reference for that matter, you could initiate that change using a formal change process. So as you might be knowing already, there is a change action associated with that, and you could start working under that particular change action, and all the modifications that you are doing for the logical reference, those will be tracked under the change action. So let's see in action. We have a demo for you. We have the video. Let's see in action how exactly we can achieve this. So on your screen, what you see right now is the logical product definition app, which comes with the SAX role. So in this app, when you see on the left hand side, there are few commands like new logical reference, using which you can start building your logical architecture from scratch. Then there is user administration field, where you could manage the queues and convergence queues for the computation. We'll see that later in the session in detail. On the right hand side, you can see there is the entire logical definition for this particular logical reference. So if you start creating the logical reference, you could see that in the type drop down, there are number of different options you get. You could create a connected software item. You could create embedded communications, embedded software hardware mappings. It could also be the actuator, ECUs, devices, physical channels. It could also be the system or the system validation model. So in this way, you can see you can build the entire logical definition for your product development. Everything is possible inside the single app. So let me close this for now, and let me show you that we could just minimize this, and to hide the view, to have to enlarge the options, and we could expand all on the structure, where you could see already that we have the specification documents, which could be the PDFs or any sort of requirements or specification documents. You have the implementation links, you have the proposed solutions. So entire logical definition is built inside this app, and we have different options available. on the top right side, which we will see later in the session. And for now, if you can see, there is the architecture number column, which in which you see all the architecture numbers for all the logical references. You could edit that architecture number directly by selecting it, or there is a command to set the architecture number. So for example, I have launched this command on the root right now, and I can edit the existing architecture number, and the architecture number will be reflected in its specialized column. So if you see, I go down below to see the another reference of the logical item, which is the actuator in this case, and there is no architecture number for this. I will just show you an example. How can I set the architecture number? I can just enter the field A54231 and set the architecture number. I get the notification that it is set, and the column is updated in real time. So in this way, we can set the different architecture numbers, which are the unique identifiers. Now coming to the right bottom side of the app, you can see already there is a hat, and which is nothing but to activate work under inside the change action. So you can just click on it and select the change action which is already in work, and activate that particular change action. So this is to allow you to capture all the modification that you are doing inside this app will be captured in the change action. So this is to leverage the formal change process using the same app, which is it is a very powerful tool for that matter. You could also use the evolution for using the same hat icon. Moreover, there are different life cycle commands also available. So if I go to one of the logical items and I select, right click it, you can see I have a bunch of different commands to manage the life cycle. I could revise this particular logical item. I could duplicate, I could compare different revisions and then take necessary actions. I could also promote it using the maturity command. I could reserve it, unreserve it. I could also transfer it to different users in the collaborative space for that matter. And I could also launch the relationships panel to reveal all the relationships of this logical reference with all the 3D experience object types in the database. So this way, we have reviewed the entire app and all its basic features. So let's come to the next phase in the product development during the architecture definition, which is the capture, where you are going to capture not only the documents as specifications, but also you can propose some solutions for the logical items. For example, the solution for the logical item could be a set of different physical products. So you are proposing in advance what could be the solution which would be implemented in the future for this particular logical reference. And not only that, it could also be the space management, using which you can allocate certain design spaces to specific logical references. These design spaces are created in CATIA 3D experience, and you need another separate license for that. That role is SAO. Using that role, you can create the design spaces in CATIA. And in this app, what you can do is you can utilize the already existing design spaces, and these particular spaces will be assigned to the particular logical reference, and that logical reference will be designed in that confined design space. We have these commands available in the app. Let's dive deep into the video that I could show you. Okay, so it's the same app. We can see the main landing gear is opened, and now let's see how we can capture the specifications for this particular document for the logical references. If you see in the main landing gear, the root, we could just simply right click Yes, the video is lagging, I guess. So we have these specification documents already. We could either create a new document as a specification from scratch, or we can also insert an existing document which is already available inside the 3D Experience platform, and we can search for the documents inside the platform and then attach those documents as specifications for this particular logical reference. So let me click on this command for you to show that the system will search for the possible documents, all the documents inside the 3D Experience platform, and one or more of them I can select, and those will be shown in the specification documents section under that particular logical item. Then I could also propose new solution for that particular logical reference. When I click on search, what it will do is system is intelligent enough that it will give me the search result from the 3D Experience platform, and it will show me all the physical products available inside the platform. So I could set one or many of them as the proposed solution for that particular logical reference, and that will appear under that logical reference in the proposed solutions section. And going ahead, one of these solutions, or maybe possibly more than one solutions, might be the final solutions for this logical reference. That is also possible. So in this way, you can not only set the logical document as specification, but also the proposed solutions. Moreover, you can see on the right hand side there is assign spaces column. So here, during the capture phase itself, you can assign different for design spaces for the logical reference. So I have the command in the right click again to assign to manage the space for all the entire logical structure. What I can do is I can simply click on the space management command, and I can search for all the different concept routes available in the platform. So remember, these are created in the CATIA native client and not here. So but we can populate, we can open the same structure here, and then for example we want to allocate the design space for the frame. So we have already here the frame design space. From the structure we can select that particular frame, and then we can assign that frame to the frame logical item inside the structure. It gets assigned, and it is shown in the assigned spaces column in real time. You could also click on the same space, and you can then modify the space assignment. So that is all about the capture phase during the product development. Let's go to the next phase, which could be the configuration. As you might already know that this is the vast domain, you would need an additional CFG role to work on the configurations. But if you have the additional CFG role, you would be astonished to know that everything that is possible using the CFG role, you can apply inside the logical definition. You can build the 150% architecture for the logical definition. You can assign the context for the configuration. You could also add effectivities, evolution effectivities, variant effectivities. And not only that, you could also work under the evolution so that you could track the evolution of the entire architecture and its elements. Then you can track the variabilities as well. So moreover, you could also use these configured structure, and you can filter the 150% configured logical structure using the evolution, or you could also use the product configurations which are already defined inside the configuration. Using that, you can actually review the specific configuration for the logical architecture. Let's see the video for this as well. I have a demo video. So inside this entire logical architecture, you can see that at the top, it is possible to attach the configuration which is already existing inside the platform. So I can attach the model definition, model version for this particular route. So I can search for it inside the edit configuration tab. There is a landing gear model which is already existing in the platform. I can select it, and the model definition is now attached. So this particular structure becomes the configured structure. And not only that, you can also assign different variabilities using the set effectivity command. You can edit the variants and options, and you can also edit the evolutions for that particular logical reference. So in this way, you can utilize all the existing capabilities for the available in the configuration. Not only that, you can also use, as we discussed, the advanced filter option, which is available on the right hand side, at the top right hand side of the widget. And there is not only the configuration filter, but also it is the same generic filter command. So you're utilizing the same options, and you can also use the attribute selection, attribute criteria, or the selection criteria, and to filter the logical definition to have the exact possible visualization for the only the desired items or in the logical structure. Let's go to the next phase now, which is the validation. And you cannot ignore it. It's one of the most important phases, where you are actually validating the completeness of the specifications that you have set in the previous phases of the product development lifecycle. So here, what you do is you select the particular specification. It could be a logical, it could be a document, it could be the space allocation, that the design spaces that we have already allocated, or it could also be the proposed solutions in terms of the physical products. So one or more sets of the specifications could be marked as validated, and then once that is validated, you could simply promote the logical reference and release it. So that would define that, okay, the logical definition is complete, and you could start working on its implementation. So let's see the next phase of the development, which is compute. So basically, what you do in the computation phase, this is the most powerful phase. I love the features that are provided in this particular app, because you are defining the number of different, there are different queues already predefined inside the platform, and you can choose some or all of the queues against which you can actually run the computation. So these queues or these business logics, you are checking for entire structure, and then you can get the status for the structure, whether it is converged or not. The severity for the queues can be defined inside the app. The severity could be critical or error or warning, and these queues or the business logics are then utilized to analyze the current status of the entire logical structure. You could run this computation, interestingly, not only on the entire structure, but you could also run it on individual logical items. You could just select them and run the computation. Using this computation convergence, you can track or you can check number of different statuses. So during the entire life cycle, entire product development phase, you can run these computations in all the different phases. You can check initially whether it has any proposed solution, whether there is any specification attached to the product, attached to the logical reference, whether it has the implementation links, is there are there some revisions for the solutions. So everything you can compute, and that will be shown in the separate column, where you can check the status, and then accordingly you can take necessary actions. Let's see the demo video for this, how exactly we can do this inside the product logical product definition app. So in this app, as you can see, we have the same structure for the main landing gear. And here on the right hand side, you can see. So before going to the actual command, let me show you first the user administration. How can we manage the queues or the queues that we are going to check the logical structure? So these are the preset queues that are available. It can be we can check for whether the implementation is done or not, whether it is implementing any other logical reference, or whether there is at least one proposed solution, or there is no proposed solution for a particular logical reference. Or we could also check whether there is space assignment done for the particular logical item or not. So once we select, we could also change the severity based on the queue. So for each queue, we can set different severity levels. For example, for more than one space assignment, we could set it as critical, error, or warning. Any one of all the three options are available for the queues. So once you have set the queues and their severities, you would just save it, close the panel, and now you are ready to uh, run the computation on the entire structure. There is a command on the right hand side to compute the convergence states. So before that, I need to select one or more of the logical references which are already present. So I can either select multiple references within the structure, or I can simply select the entire logical definition and I can run the computation for the entire structure for that matter. So here I have selected the entire structure just to show you the possibilities that we can do. So once we run the compute convergence status command, you can see the convergence state column is populated with all the different states, the convergence states for each logical reference. You can simply click on this particular state, and then you see the status. What exactly is the warning? What is the critical message? And using that, you can utilize this information to take necessary actions and then uh, uh, provide the solutions so as to resolve the errors inside the convergence status. And then you can clear this convergence state, and you can run the same computation again and again and again during the product development phase until the entire computation reaches the completed convergence status. So in this way, after multiple convergence checking, what you can do additionally is you can export this convergence status, the convergence states for entire structure in a CSV file format. So this is in this way you can utilize this states and the errors or the states, the convergence states for this entire structure external to the 3D Experience platform. You can discuss them within your teams and all. So this is all you can do using the compute convergence state, which was the final state. Then next we would like to see what are the new enhancements in 21x FD06 release. Let's see the next enhancement. Now you can create the implementation links with the RFLP assets. You can enhance the productivity by allowing the implementation links, and everything you can do is within the app itself on the web. So there are different types of implementation links. For example, it could be a reference link, or it could be a link between different occurrences of the logical items, and we call it as op implementation relation. So you can establish these relations using the commands which are available in the right click menu. Moreover, there is this beautiful and very powerful visualization of the matrix visualization of all the logical items. So when there are two different references, it could be electrical and mechanical. So you references, and you want to create the implementation links between different occurrences of the logical references. Then you can just launch this command, and you see the matrix view, and you can create the implementation links just by clicking in the particular cell. So let's see how exactly we can do this. I also have the video for you for this. So to show you the entire structure in CATIA, this is just to give you an overview how the structure looks like in the CATIA. This is the same structure. So let me create a reference link. So I'm creating the link between the logical item, two different logical references. I can use, of course, the 6W tagger to filter out the results. And then you can see at the bottom, there is an implementation link created between the electrical and the mechanical main landing gear. Now I'm creating the occurrence links between the different logical items. This is the entire structure of both the logical references. I can filter it to see only the equipments and the logical references. So in the vertical, you can see in the rows there are mechanical, and in the columns there are the actuators or electrical systems. You can also, what you can do is you can filter these logical references using the textual search. So you have searched and filtered out other unnecessary elements, and you can create the links which you can already see in the structure. This is the link between the two occurrences of the logical references, and these two occurrences are from the different logical references altogether. So in this way, you can build the entire structure, not only the structure, but also the implementation links and relationships between the different logical references. So that's all about the new enhancement in this release 21x7006. And we are open for questions and discussions if you have any. I hope you have already posted them in the community, and I would like to read them. Do we have some questions? Let's see. Or if you have not yet posted, you could go ahead and post the questions in the same post. I hope you have access to it already. So it's the same post in the first, that we can see.
So far, no question.
Probably, so no questions, maybe.
Please
We'll
add your
wait for a
questions
few
here.
questions.
Yeah,
You can add your questions. Probably you don't have access to add questions on YouTube. So you have to access this particular community post. Just go to the ENOVIA user community. You can see the post, and you can simply publish your questions here.
Okay, probably there are no questions at the moment. So you may ask your questions later on. You don't have to ask it right now. Just review again the post and add your questions here, and we will reply as soon as we receive your questions here. Back to you, Matthew. We don't hear you.
Matthew, you are on mute, I guess.
Matthew,
we can't hear you. Matthew, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Live webinars. We just want to remind you that next week we will have another live webinar on the 18th and it'll be What's New with ENOVIA, talking about enhancements and new roles in FD06. So we hope you'll attend, and Naeem and Amal will be excited to see you again as well. So
Yeah.
until
Great.
then, have a great week, and we'll see you around the community. Bye now.
Bye-bye.